I walked into the conference room thinking it was just our regular quarterly planning session. Instead, it felt like walking straight into a firing squad. Dominic Hayes, the slick new partner from corporate, sat at the head of the table like he owned the place. Guy had been with us barely a year. Clean suit, tighter smile. He didn't even flinch when he said it. "We've restructured the client division. Today's your last day?" I blinked, thought I misheard. "What?" He folded his hands like he was explaining budget cuts to a stranger, not gutting a man who built the entire department. "We appreciate your service. The company's moving in a different direction." HR was sitting next to him, nodding like it was all just routine. Two of them. One of them I'd actually helped hire. Didn't even look me in the eye. I'd been at Marlowe Strategic for 27 years. Started when the whole firm fit in 2 rented floors in Stamford. I built the client division from scratch. My name was on half the onboarding policies they were about to use against me. Hell, I wrote the offboarding policy. I looked around. No Arthur, no senior partners. Just Dominic, sitting there, cool as ice. "What's the severance?" I asked. 2 months, benefits through the quarter. That's it, 27 years, and I was walking out with 2 months and a PowerPoint printed in grayscale. I didn't say anything, just stood up. My hands were shaking, but I wasn't going to let them see it. I walked out of that room and headed straight to my office. It was already packed with boxes. Security was waiting. Real security, like I was some threat. They followed me while I grabbed a couple personal things that weren't in the boxes. Photos, my Mont Blanc pen, a signed baseball from the '99 Yankees season. I glanced at the glass walls, people watching, pretending they weren't. Half of them I trained, coached them through promotions, bailed them out when clients were ready to drop us. None of them opened their doors. Phone buzzed as I was taping the last box shut. Text message from Catherine Winters, CEO of one of our biggest accounts. "Heard something's going on. Call me as soon as possible." I didn't answer right away, but I sat down in my own damn chair one last time, and I smiled. "Quick note, before we start, how's your day going, and where are you joining from?" I knew what that message meant. I wasn't the one on trial here. They were. I didn't call Catherine back right away. I just stared at the message, sitting there in the half-lit office I was no longer allowed to be in. When security finally cleared their throat, I grabbed the last box, walked out, and didn't look back. Back home, I dropped everything in the foyer and sank into the couch. Silence hit harder than I expected. No calls, no Slack pings, no meetings lined up, just me, a dying laptop battery, and job boards I never thought I'd be browsing again. 61 years old, laid off like a temp. By that evening, my inbox was full. Not condolences, just calendar requests from HR for exit surveys, COBRA paperwork, some automated message saying my company laptop would be remotely wiped. I didn't even bother reading most of it. I just sat there, staring at the same blank browser tab while the sun went down. I'd worked through Christmas, through my daughter's graduation. Hell, I once closed a $5 million deal from a hospital bed after minor surgery. I saved Marlowe from losing our top clients in the 2008 crash, personally kept 2 Fortune hundreds from walking during the 2020 chaos, and all I got was 2 months severance and a courier. No warning, no thank you. Just strategic direction. Around 9 that night, my phone buzzed. Arthur's name lit up the screen. Founder, hired me in '98. Built the company from his basement. "Jesus, Mitch," he said. "I just heard. I should have stopped this before it happened." I didn't say anything. "I'm in Heathrow," he added. "They waited till I was gone." Dominic pushed it through, citing cost saving. "It's bullshit. You know that, right?" "Yeah," I said. "I know." We sat in silence for a second. Then he sighed. "I'll fix it." But we both knew he was already too late. The next morning, I started digging. Not because I wanted to, because I had to. Found out 3 of my top accounts had already been reassigned. Just handed off to kids who didn't know the clients' names, didn't even know how their billing cycles worked. One of them had emailed a VP at a legacy client and spelled their name wrong. By lunchtime, I'd heard from 4 more execs, people I'd worked with for over a decade. They weren't just upset, they were insulted. One said, "They didn't even notify us." "We had meetings scheduled with you next week." I kept my responses short. I wasn't about to beg for my reputation. Didn't need to. My silence was doing the work for me, but inside, I was burning. I wasn't mad that I lost the job. I was mad at how they did it. No face-to-face, no call from leadership. Not even a damn heads up before stripping me off accounts I built from the ground up. Arthur tried calling again that night. I ignored it. I needed to feel the fire, every quiet hour, every awkward LinkedIn scroll. Every time I reached for the phone and realized I wasn't expected to answer anymore, that was the weight they dumped on me, and I wasn't planning on carrying it for long. The next morning, my phone lit up like a damn Christmas tree. First was Gerald Shaw from Kavanaugh Foods, voice tight, clipped. "Tell me this isn't real. You're the only reason we stayed with Marlowe Strategic. Wish I was joking," I said. He went quiet, then hung up. I didn't badmouth Marlowe, didn't have to. The clients were talking to each other now, and they were pissed. By noon, I'd spoken to 8 different execs. Some called, some texted. One even FaceTimed me from his car. "We just onboarded a junior analyst," he said, who showed up to our strategy meeting with no deck, no prep, and asked me to send last quarter's numbers. "Sounds about right," I said. "I swear to God, if you land somewhere else, we're following you. You can quote me I didn't quote him, I didn't need to. I hadn't asked anyone to leave, didn't fish for loyalty, didn't pitch myself. But by dinner, 10 clients had flat out told me they were pulling their accounts the moment I landed somewhere else. I was halfway through leftover lo mein on the couch when the doorbell rang. Courier, small, thick envelope, no return address. Inside, an embossed folder, handwritten note clipped to the top. "We've been watching your career. Would love to talk. Confidential. Fletcher and Reeves executive search." I didn't even finish eating. Next morning, I had 5 voicemails from firms I hadn't spoken to in years. 2 were big, like global strategy level. One of them dropped a number that nearly made me laugh. Suddenly, the guy Marlowe dumped for being too expensive was the hottest free agent on the market. I took 2 meetings that day, both on Zoom. Both execs didn't waste time. "We know what happened," one said. "We also know who's walking if you move." I kept my expression neutral. "I'm not making any decisions yet." "You should," she said, "because we're ready to move fast." That night, I sat in the living room surrounded by legal pads and business cards. My wife came in, took one look at the chaos and said, "Jesus, it's like the NFL draft in here." "Feels like it," I said. She handed me a beer, kissed my head, and walked out. By the end of the week, 3 more headhunters reached out, all saying the same thing. Leadership role, flexible terms, equity options. I hadn't even updated my resume. Every call confirmed the same thing. I wasn't obsolete. I wasn't a cost problem. I was value they couldn't replace. On Friday, a guy from Titan Partners, Boston-based, lean, smart, offered to fly down just to shake hands. "I've read every account you ran," he told me. "Hell, your name's still on some of the training modules we use." "I know," I said. "Let's get lunch." "Maybe next week." I wasn't rushing into anything. Let them wait. Let Marlowe sweat. Because while Dominic was probably sipping something neat in a glass office, pretending things were stable, his foundation was cracking. And I wasn't even touching it, just waiting. And answering the phone. I was halfway through a call with a recruiter from Denver when Arthur texted, "Lunch, your spot, tomorrow. My treat." We hadn't spoken in days. Not since he tried to play cleanup over the phone from Heathrow. I stared at the message for a while, then typed back, 12 sharp. He was already there when I walked in. Same corner booth at Callahan's. We used to sit there 20 years ago, back when we were building the firm brick by brick. Same scuffed leather seats. Same chipped table edge from when he slammed his coffee cup too hard after a bad pitch. He stood up like everything was fine. "Appreciate you meeting me," he said. I didn't shake his hand, just slid into the booth. "You got 10 minutes, use them." Then he pulled out a folder, one I recognized. Executive reinstatement package. Used to be a myth inside the firm. No one ever got one unless the board was desperate. "This is what I'm offering," he said. "New role, custom title. You'll have full autonomy over client strategy, direct access to the board, salary bump, profit sharing. Equity, why?" I asked. "Why now?" He hesitated just a little too long. I leaned in. "You're not trying to fix me, Arthur. You're trying to fix Dominic." That cracked him. He exhaled hard, ran a hand through his thinning hair. He's flailing. Half your clients are threatening to walk. One already has. The board's restless. They're looking at me like I've lost control. You have, I said, and Dominic's not just flailing. He's gunning for your chair. Arthur looked away. There it was. He wasn't offering me a second chance. He was trying to buy insurance, use me to plug the hole in his sinking ship while he fought to keep the captain's wheel. You want me back, I said, because I'm the only one who knows how to stop the bleeding. You're the only one the clients trust, he said, and you waited until it blew up in your face to remember that. He didn't argue. I opened the folder, scanned the terms. They weren't bad, they were damn good, honestly. Title, equity, full leadership over my old division. Hell, if this offer had come 5 years ago, I'd have signed it before dessert. But now I knew how fragile it all was, how quickly they'd cut me loose when it was convenient. Every dollar in that folder came with strings, and every string led back to Arthur trying to survive. You think this fixes it? I said, sliding the folder back across the table. But I'm not some retired vet you pull off the bench when the team starts losing. I'm trying to make it right. No, I said, you're trying to keep your seat. And Dominic's trying to take it. I'm just the one who scares both of you. I stood up, grabbed my coat. You have my number, I added. If I want back in, I'll call you. But it won't be for a job. And I walked out, knowing exactly how much leverage I had. I didn't go home after that lunch with Arthur. I drove straight to Blackwell Consulting. They'd been patient, respectful, no hard sell. Just quiet confidence and a clear message. We know who you are, and we know what you're worth. Their managing partner, Allison Reed, met me in the lobby herself. Sharp woman, no fluff. We sat down in a glass-walled conference room overlooking the Boston Harbor. She slid a single-page document across the table. Our pitch, she said. Read it and tell me what's missing. Leadership role, executive title, equity from day one, autonomy over client operations, respect built into the damn bones of it. But I only asked for one thing. I want final say on any future acquisition moves. No hidden deals, no boardroom power plays behind my back. She didn't blink. Done. No back and forth, no dodging, no stalling. She knew what I brought with me. And more importantly, who. At least 8 of my top accounts had already started slow-walking their exits from Marlowe. They didn't say it directly, but the moment I signed with Blackwell, I knew they were coming with me. I wasn't even working yet, and I had leverage most execs wait a lifetime to build. Meanwhile, Marlowe was bleeding out. I got a Google alert 2 nights later. Marlowe strategic faces client shakeup amid leadership rumors. Then another, top clients quietly exit Marlowe. Sources cite loss of trust. The industry blogs picked it up fast. One of them called it a mass defection. Another said Dominic Hayes had grossly underestimated the impact of legacy leadership. That part made me laugh out loud. By the end of the week, 3 more clients had terminated contracts. One of them issued a public statement that said, "We're reevaluating our strategy partners following sudden organizational changes at Marlowe." No one mentioned my name. They didn't have to. Then the Boston Business Journal called. The reporter, Laura something, was polite but direct. "There's a lot of speculation you were the center of this shift. Can you comment?" I paused, thought about what to give her. "I think people forget that trust doesn't transfer with a job title," I said. "You either earn it or you don't." That quote ran the next morning, right under a headline that read, "Mitch Brenner breaks silence, trust doesn't transfer." That was all it took. Phones started ringing again. Recruiters, industry peers, hell, even a couple of Marlowe employees off the record asking where I was going next. I didn't answer any of them. I just sent Allison a text. "Let's do it." She replied in under a minute. "Paperwork's ready." The next morning, I was halfway through reviewing onboarding for 2 legacy clients when Arthur called again. I let it ring twice before I picked up. He didn't bother with small talk. "I need to see you." "What for?" "Dominic's being pushed out," he said. "The board's forcing the issue. It's bad. I need you to come back. Full equity partner. Help me stabilize the ship I let the silence sit." "Talk to Allison," he added quickly. "We'll structure it however you want. Just, please." "We can't afford more fallout," I said. "I'll think about it." Then I hung up. I didn't tell him I'd already spoken to Allison. Didn't tell him the deal was already in motion. All I said was, "I'll think about it." The next morning, I walked through the glass doors at Marlowe Strategic like I never left. Security didn't stop me. The receptionist just blinked and buzzed me through like her brain needed a second to process it. The all-hands meeting had already started. They were in the main conference hall, room packed with employees, board members, junior staffers, you name it. Standing room only, same stale coffee smell, same too loud mic feedback, same nerves in the air you could practically taste. I walked in through the side door, didn't make a sound. People turned, a few gasped, phones lowered, heads turned like someone hit a switch. Arthur was at the front, already mid-sentence. He looked up, saw me walk in, and stopped talking. He gave a smile that didn't reach his eyes, then cleared his throat and said, "Everyone, I have some good news. Mitch Brenner is returning to Marlowe's Strategic." Scattered claps, a few confused looks. The board chair leaned forward like, "What the hell is happening?" Arthur kept going. "He'll be resuming leadership of client relations, effective immediately." "We're lucky to have him back." I stepped forward. I didn't take the mic. Didn't need to. I just raised my voice, looked straight ahead, and said, "I'm not coming back." Silence. I scanned the room, then looked at Arthur. "I'm here to announce that Blackwell Consulting has just acquired controlling interest in Marlowe Strategic." Gasps, audible ones. Someone in the back dropped a coffee cup. Arthur's face went gray. "This isn't a return," I continued. "This is a transition. Effective today, Marlowe Strategic operates under Blackwell leadership, and I'm here to make sure it doesn't collapse." Dominic, who'd been standing stiff by the side wall, tried to step forward, but a board member grabbed his arm and pulled him back. "I know what some of you are thinking," I said, locking eyes with the department heads I used to coach. "No, this isn't a hostile takeover. No, we're not gutting the company. But things are going to change." I looked back at Arthur. "You called me desperate. You offered me equity, a title, all the things I earned years ago. But you never once offered me respect. So I took the deal that did." He didn't say a word, just sat down slowly. I turned back to the room. Blackwell didn't buy Marlowe to kill it. We bought it to fix it. And the first step? Clarity. That starts now. I stepped off the stage without waiting for applause. I wasn't there for a reunion. I was there to finish what they started. Chaos hit like a wave. Voices rose, chairs scraped, phones came out. Arthur looked like he'd been hit by a truck. He just sat there, stunned, hands on the table like he was bracing for impact. I stepped back up. "Let's make something clear," I said, steady and loud. "This is not a purge. There will be no layoffs, no mass terminations. This is a leadership correction. That's it." Someone up front whispered something and got elbowed quiet. A few heads nodded, most just stared. "Dominic Hayes," I continued, "is no longer with the company." That hit hard. Dominic didn't move. One of the board members stood and gave him a nod. It wasn't a suggestion. It was the end of the line. He walked out stiff and pale, not saying a word. No one clapped. No one stopped him. "His bottom line obsession nearly destroyed what we built," I said. "That ends today. We're rebuilding, not from scratch, but from truth." The clients never left the firm. They left him. I stepped down again and left the room buzzing like a hornet's nest. By the next morning, my calendar was full. Strategy reviews, team assessments, departmental restructuring. I didn't touch middle management. I didn't need to. My authority came from the top now. No filters, no games. Arthur avoided me. He was still technically founder and board rep, but his calls stopped. His voice was gone. Within a week, I was back at the top. But this time, it was different. I wasn't asking for input. I was the input. The systems I built years ago, the ones Dominic dismantled, I brought back with precision. Client retention models, internal feedback loops, account history protocols, things that worked but got tossed in the name of efficiency. Now they ran through me. And the same people who'd ignored me during my exit, they lined up to shake hands, one by one, smiling, nervous, like they couldn't decide if I was their savior or their reminder. "Didn't see this coming," one senior manager said, giving me a half laugh. "Should've," I replied. Some were genuine, some were just survivors. I didn't care. I wasn't there to make friends. I was there to make sure no one ever tried what Dominic pulled again. On Thursday, I walked into my new office. Top floor, corner window, same view Dominic had, but with the blinds open. The old framed photos were already on the desk. My Mont Blanc pen was back in the drawer. There was a knock. HR director stepped in. Same one who sat across from me the day I got cut. She didn't say much. Just, "Welcome back, Mitch." I nodded. "Different rules this time." She nodded back. "Understood." She closed the door behind her. I turned my chair toward the window, watched the early fall clouds roll across the skyline, and cracked my knuckles. I hadn't come back to fix Marlowe. I came back to own it. He showed up at my office without scheduling anything. No assistant, no knock. Just opened the door and stepped inside like he still ran the place. Arthur looked 10 years older than he did at that all-hands meeting. Eyes sunken, jaw tight, same suit as last week. "Close the door," I said. He did. We stood there for a second, the air thick. "You planned this," he finally said, voice low. I didn't answer right away. I just looked at him. "No," I said. "I planned to survive." He didn't sit down, just stayed standing, hands shoved in his pockets like he didn't know what to do with them. "I gave you that seat once," he said, "and you took it away from me." I kept my voice calm. "You let me get tossed like a temp, Arthur." You didn't blink. That was Dominic. "No, Dominic was your proxy. You let him in. You gave him the rope. I was trying to grow the company." "No, you were trying to cash out. Big exit, fast track. You stopped listening a long time ago." He opened his mouth, then shut it again. I stood up and walked around the desk, handed him a folder. 3-year advisory contract, I said. Name on the letterhead. You'll show up quarterly, keep your founder status, collect a generous retainer. His eyebrows pulled together. But no say in operations? None. No board votes? Nope. He let out a short breath, almost a laugh. "This is a tombstone." "It's a courtesy," I said. "One I didn't get." He flipped the folder shut and held it tight in his hand. "I built this place," he said. "And you let it rot from the inside out," I said. "You let Dominic cut deep and didn't notice until it bled all over you." He didn't argue, couldn't. I didn't hate the guy, but I also didn't owe him anything. "I could have pushed you out completely," I added, "but I didn't." He looked at me then, really looked, not like a rival, not like a mentor, just a man realizing his time was up. He nodded. Quiet, no handshake, no speech. Then he walked out with the folder tucked under his arm. Didn't even close the door behind him. 6 months later, we hit record numbers. Blackwell Marlowe, yeah, we rebranded, posted our strongest quarter in company history. Over 95% client retention. Brought back 3 accounts that had already walked. One of them said, "We're here because you are." Dominic, gone. Not just from the firm, from the industry. Word was, his name had become poison. Nobody wanted a strategist who ran off the clients and blew through 2 senior teams in under a year. Arthur still had his little corner title, Founder Emeritus, but he kept his distance. Showed up at board meetings with quiet eyes and a pen that didn't do much writing. I gave him space. He took it. That was the deal. I had a corner office now, full glass, direct view of the skyline, same job I'd always done, just finally with the authority to do it right. No interference, no second guessing, no partner waiting in the wings with a knife tucked under his sleeve. My calendar was full. Clients, pitches, reviews, and lunch that Thursday with Catherine Winters. We met at Dunhill's, same table by the window. She ordered steak salad, like always. I went with the usual burger, no bun. Halfway through the meal, she leaned in and grinned. "Told you they'd regret letting you go." I didn't say much, just raised my glass. She smiled wider. 5-year deal. No term outs. You earned it. I signed the contract with my old Mont Blanc. The same one I took from the box they shoved at me the day they threw me out. After she left, I sat there a while. Let it settle. The win wasn't loud, wasn't flashy, but it was full, clean, solid. In this business, relationships are the product. People forget that. They think it's decks and spreadsheets. They think it's data. It's not. It's trust. That's what Dominic never understood, what Arthur forgot. I didn't. I never chased revenge. I just waited for the math to catch up. And it did. With interest.